Welcome to Another World, Team Impala's single-player action hybrid adventure civilization builder game based around Reinhardt's 2013 animated video Nora. It is targeted to release on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X consoles, as well as PC with relatively modern hardware. The story of Another World closely follows our android protagonist Nora X32 Alpha, nicknamed Alpha, and her journey to establish a society for her fellow Nora androids, after being abandoned on a hostile alien planet. Early in her exploration, she'll find and meet up with her reptilian sidekick Argite as they brave the harsh wilderness to secure resources for the growing Nora civilization. As Alpha leads her people into building their new home, they start exhibiting distinctly human characteristics, and what traits they manifest revolves around the player's actions. Nora's newfound sentience also means a new challenge for their society, in understanding themselves and their place in life. Depending on the choices you make as a player, you will see the Noras come to terms with their problems, whether that is a worry of not being able to raise offspring to further their legacy, or an ever-looming cloud of existential dread about the fulfillity of their existence, or anything in between. As a leader, it becomes your job to alleviate their fears and worries by acquiring resources and building functional settlements, but at the end of the day, what will the original human creators have to say? Another World's gameplay is split into two core loops of activities: exploring the world and building your settlement. When exploring the world, you'll be controlling Alpha from a third-person over-the-shoulder perspective. While free roam is an option and to be openly explored, the core experience will be followed story-based missions to help you grow your settlements by doing things like acquiring materials or searching for the other missing Noras. We chose a third-person perspective since it allows the player to see more of their immediate surroundings, helping them to make well-informed decisions. Your two main challenges when exploring the world will revolve around safely traversing harsh environments and dealing with problematic hostile creatures. Both traversal and combat serve as constant mini-puzzles. Depending on the area and the time of the game, these could be as simple as using a ladder to climb up a steep incline, or as complicated as making a makeshift bridge to cross a raging river. We chose to add these puzzles to have the world offer challenges to the player instead of just a setting. That way, the player feels more connected to the world. They act as their own part of it, with logical limitations, but can overcome these challenges with their creativity and problem-solving skills. To help the player progress, Alpha's sidekick Argite can mark out potentially helpful items and places of interest, which would be represented by small beacons on the HUD. He is rather small, so while he can't fight, he can help the player find out what they better need for any given situation. Combating hostiles takes the idea of the world itself being a puzzle and applies it into battle scenarios. Do you fight a monstrous beast with a makeshift weapon, or do you find a way to sneak by? Maybe by combining certain items you can lure it away from your destination. Similar to most modern games, if you lose your health, you die. These are simple ideas that have been in practice of a variety of games for years, but by focusing on them and making them a core staple of the player's toolkit, it makes a new, innovative experience. Along with exploration, civilization building makes up half of Another World. Using the materials the player has gathered, they can build structures from a top-down camera angle to create the Norse settlement exactly to their want. They can choose from a wide array of structures that can benefit the settlement, such as housing, stores, farm, manufacturing plants, laboratories, and more. Making these structures reward the players with involving story threads of the Noras and the abilities to make new items, weapons, and equipment to better explore the world. Additionally, the player can explore their settlement in the third-person over-the-shoulder perspective and interact with the NPC Noras, and then return to the wilds when they are done. This way, there is a clear defined loop between exploring and building, with each naturally leading into the other to advance both the story and player's overall power and progression. Another World's progression is split up into two tracks, the narrative and the toolbox. In terms of narrative progression, by building, exploring, and venturing out on story-based missions, the story will progress and evolve. While the beginning is simply about survival, the story begins shifting, focusing on the philosophical question of what does it mean to live? Characters in the game will start breaking the robotic facade and slowly become more human, each with their own problems, fears, and hopes. When it comes to the literal progression of the player, however, building specific structures offers the players new items, abilities, and equipment. In effect, this is a skill tree disguised and morphed into its own game mode. We choose to design a progression this way to make it feel more natural for the player, with a clear cause and effect. For example, building a prosthetic enhancement factory that gives the player a speed boost helps maintain immersion more than filling a node out in a traditional skill tree. When breaking down what mood Another World is intended to put the player in, it's a feeling of being out of place. Given that the setting is an alien world, we have extra creative breathing room to help accomplish this with lighting, skyboxes, and terrain. Overall, the lighting is cool, soft, and directed to project fewer shadows to help promote a quiet, somber feeling, mirroring the fear and dread Alpha is feeling. The skybox is filled with an abundant amount of bright stars, combined with certain areas for more open design. This helps set the feeling of being alone in vast wilderness. Sandstone function as the underlying material that makes up a majority of the planet's structure. So it is presented in many locations and scenes. The color is a low intensity red, so it is muted by the lighting, but when approached, its real color is exposed. After you have thoroughly built your settlement, explored the world, and overcome the existential and philosophical terrors that plague the Noras, the player has entered the end of the game. Once things have brightened up and are more hopeful for the Noras, a large spaceship appears overhead the city. A small landing ship with a squadron of human soldiers dressed in full sci-fi tactical gear comes out. They step forward, weapons in hand, and the screen cuts to black. Then, credits roll. The ending is left deliberately vague in regards to the Nora's fate. This is both to encourage the players to have their own discussion of the relationship between the creator and creation, as well as provide an opportunity to make up a following game if Another World proves to be successful. To summarize, Another World is a single-player game about exploring a hostile alien world and bringing together a community while tackling their fears, worries, and hopes. The game cycles between exploration, top-down civilization building, with each providing challenges and opportunities to progress the player. Only by embracing Alpha's role as Nora's savior can the players overcome the harsh reality of Another World.